Hello and welcome to this video. We're today going to talk about the China playoffs. Um, Obviously, China regular season is done now. It went pretty well for me in terms of pick'ems. I do feel like I had some weeks that went better than others, but overall, I still did pretty well. I mean, I ended with 110 points, which is in the top like what 6-7% of users, which I feel like is pretty good. So going into playoffs, I think it's going to be interesting. Um, I do think there was some teams that I really was surprised didn't make it. Like if we look at group stages here, like FPX didn't make it, and then also like the placements were kind of weird to me. Like Sheila wins their group over Billy. Like what? But then in playoffs they didn't get that first seed, which is a bit weird. Don't really know why. Is it because Billy beat Sheila, so technically these should be switched? Maybe that could actually be it, and they just have it wrong. Either way, going into this, it's going to be really interesting. It really will be. I do think there are some teams that definitely are worse than others, but I think in general, it's looking to be pretty spicy. I genuinely believe so. So why don't we start? Um, when it comes to Titan Esports versus Wolves, this is a game that I actually want to talk about a bit more because I do think this one is really odd. Because for me, Wolves is one of those teams, right, that gets pretty shit on by the teams that they are mechanically on a similar level to. But then you look at a game like Trace and you're like, oh, maybe not. It just feels like this Wolves team is kind of like the foot. They're kind of like the foot of China to me. And I don't know if I think Tech are better than them. I actually don't think so, though. I think Tech is probably a pretty fluky that they got here. And for that reason, I'm going to go Wolves here. Um, I'm also gonna do this one immediately and say it's gonna be Billy beating Wolves. I don't think this game will be particularly close. I've said before that I think EDG and Billy will both, as the number one seeds, go to Toronto. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think those two are just straight up two best teams in China. And Billy just lost their final game basically because they kind of just threw and more looked like they were just not really playing that game, to be completely honest. They just played for because they were guaranteed for playoffs anyway, so they were like, all right, it doesn't really matter here. We're probably gonna win. I'm pretty sure they win the group either way, even if they lose that game. We see they got the first seed either way because Sheila obviously they already beat them, and they're the only team that could go 5-0, and they didn't go, but they couldn't go 5-0 because Billy beat them. So yeah, now going into XLG versus Nova, this is a difficult one for me because Nova obviously played absolutely horrendous their last game, but they look so good. They genuinely look so good. And honestly, that might be why I'm going Nova here. I'm still gonna pick EDG over Nova. I know Nova beat EDG, but with how EDG is looking right now and with Jenny 7 and everything, they're just looking too good. And I don't think they're not gonna. I don't think anybody can beat EDG right now, and I'm just gonna say they'll go through the grand finals right away. Now going down to the lower rounds, Titan versus Dragon Ranger Gaming. That's a really interesting matchup, but I do think DRG are gonna beat them here. And actually, I'm gonna say that Trace are gonna beat XLG, which is a bit of an upset, but I just think Trace has looked so good these last final weeks. That personally, for me, I do think Trace is actually better than XLG, although XLG was lower in the groups, in the group seedings and everything, and they actually did lose to them, I'm pretty sure. I just think how Trace has looked lately, like obviously they beat BLG, like they just looked really good against BLG and has just gotten better and better with each week, and I genuinely believe they could go on like a lower bracket run here. Now, going in to the lower round two is where it gets a bit interesting because now we have DRG Nova and then Wolves versus Trace. And this is where I think DRG is losing this game. I think Nova goes through here. I think they've looked good enough to beat DRG. I don't think Wolves goes further than this either. I'm gonna say Trace. And honestly, I genuinely believe that Trace might make a lower bracket run and go to Toronto, which is kind of sad to me because I don't want Trace to be this good after how terrible they look to start and how terrible they look at Bangkok. I don't want them to be the team that goes, but they genuinely could be. Like, they genuinely could be. Um, and that is concerning. Now, going into Nova Trace, I kind of want a team like Nova to make it. That's the thing, right? I kind of want a team like that to make it to Bangkok. But I honestly. It's difficult, right? It's really difficult. Because Trace has been booty cheeks doing stage 1. Like, they have genuinely been booty cheeks during stage 1. Like, during the group stage of stage 1, Trace was not playing well. And then they beat BLG last week and play a close game to XLG after struggling to beat AG early on and losing to Wolves. Like, it's just so weird. Personally, it's just so weird. And honestly, looking at it, I'm actually going to change, I think. Because as they looked against Tech, and considering they didn't have that good of a game against Tyloo, and their EDG win was a bit of a fluke, I will say. And FPX hasn't looked that great ever since. I'm going to pick XLG to win against Nova. And this is how it's going to go instead. Nova are going to go out in 2. And now we get this instead, where XLG, I feel pretty confident in beating the RG. I do feel pretty confident that XLG will beat the RG. I genuinely believe that that should be a game they should win. Now, Wolves versus Trace. As I said, I mean, Wolves beat Trace, right? 2-0. They beat them 2-0. But also at the same time, like, I don't think Trace was that good at that point. But also, Wolves did keep it close against both against Billy and XLG. But was it really close against BLG? Not really, actually. And XLG was, well, XLG is one of those teams that just don't have the firepower, in my opinion, to be a top team. But they have the fundamentals to beat teams like Wolves that might have higher firepower than them, but not be fully, don't have all the fundamentals in check. And I feel like that's why also, by the way, I think they're beating DRG is because I feel like DRG are kind of a similar team there. Now, Wolves Trace. I mean, yeah, Wolves are decent, but at the same time, they did lose a map and almost lose to All Gamers. And Trace has looked a lot better. I'm gonna pick Trace. And you know what? Fuck it. We're not gonna have Trace going. We're gonna have Sheilai. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have Sheilai go, but it's not gonna be. Actually, no. EDG won't be first seed. Billy will win the grand final, and Sheilai will go to Toronto. There we go. That is my final playoff seeding. Crazy, but I could see it happening. I genuinely could. I mean, Sheilai did beat them 2-1, and then they went on to beat Billy. So I could see this happening. I genuinely could see this happening. And it would be really fun to see Sheilai on an international stage. So yeah, this is my China pick'ems for the playoffs. It's gonna be really fun, I think. to watch this playoffs happen. Obviously, we have these first games happening the 17th, which I'm pretty sure is on Easter, which is going to be a bit rough, and I might not even be able to watch. We'll see. But I want to watch them, so I probably will either way. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It really will be. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you think I'm being crazy, comment, say what I did wrong. And I'll see you in the next one.